Ralph, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Tell us first why Ralph Clarke for Lord Mayor of Adelaide?
Well, to be a Lord Mayor is an important position, and it requires leadership skills, experience and courage, and an ability or practical understanding of things like the economy, culture, society, the environment. Those four elements interact with one another to make what Adelaide is or should be.
And what do you consider to be the main constituency to be supporting you in your bid for Lord Mayor? Is it developers or?
Well, I wouldn't say I've got any one particular group behind me as such. I think I've deliberately positioned myself over the last 3 years on council as trying to appeal to both residents and the business community. And by business I mean small traders, small retailers and the arts community and the like. But probably some big developers aren't all that fond of me.
Now, in recent years on that topic, in the course of the last, I suppose the Harbison years, the city council seems to become increasingly irrelevant. The state government's got these development planning application approvals that can override the council and the like. As Lord Mayor, what would you do to try and increase the relevancy of the Adelaide City Council for the state as a whole?
Well, the City Council and state government work best when they work cooperatively together. But I don't say cooperation means subservience. If that's the case, then let's abolish the council and let the government just run the city. So it's got to be an equal partnership. And the government itself, I think now in their third term, wants to leave a legacy behind in terms of big infrastructure projects and things that future generations can point to and say, you know, they did a good job. And I'd like to help them in that. I've got a number of ideas, some that they've already put on the front foot in terms of the Adelaide Oval Redevelopment. There will be differences. Some people want the whole of the Parklands precinct around the Oval given over to the Stadium Management Authority. Well, I don't support that, but I think we can get the Adelaide Oval redevelopment underway without ripping the parklands away from the Adelaide City Council. The other thing is Victoria Square, the rejuvenation of that. The master design of Victoria Square has met widespread approval, including with the state government, and they've tipped in $2 million to our bucket, so to speak, for detailed costings and detailed design work. So I think we're on the right track, hopefully, to snaring their support, because, you know, South Australia's 175 years old next year, and that would be a great bit of infrastructure building for the future generations to enjoy.
Looking at Rundle Street and Rundle Mall,
yes.
From what I hear from traders, that whilst the suburbs are going reasonably well and Rundle Mall struggles, and I think by some views the east end of Rundle Street is in better condition now as it's been for some years in terms of stores that are closing down and the like. What do you see as that you bring to the table in terms of rejuvenating Rundle Street and Rundle Mall?
Well, there's a couple of immediate things we're doing currently. We're increasing shop trading hours in the Rundle Mall precinct during the weeknights as we go through the daylight saving hours, and that's a great initiative. The other thing which I think we need to do, and as Lord Mayor I'd strongly press for, is the CBD's got to be classed as a tourist zone, just like Glenelg, with respect to shops to be able to open on selected public holidays. Not talking about Good Friday or Christmas Day, but you know, about the Queen's birthday in June. Why can't our shops open in the Rundle Mall precinct if they're allowed to open in Glenelg? Now, the Shop Assistants Union's been very much opposed to that, and they're supporting another candidate. I don't know what his attitude is to shop trading hours on public holidays, but to be relevant here in South Australia, we've got to be able to trade on public holidays. As I say, not all, and we're not asking for traders to be forced to open their doors. You've got to send out those types of signals to say that the city's open and can be vibrant. I mean, it's silly. You can go to the library on you can go to the Mark Gallery and Museum on a public holiday, but you can't shop at David Jones on a public holiday. It's ridiculous. And the public know it, and the government knows it. The Shop Assistants Union just being bloody minded on it. So, but on on the east end of Rundle Street, we're embarking on a major infrastructure program down there with respect to new footpaths, much improved on what they are, and it's this constant look for a different mix, a unique mix of retail outlets that offers goods that you can't buy at a Westfields, and our Rundle Mall Management Authority is doing a good job in Rundle Mall doing just that, and we've got to do more. And as Lord Mayor, there's no reason why, if people point me in the right direction, people who know what they're doing in the retail industry, and say, look, we would really like to get this unique brand into Rundle Mall. We've got a shop, we've got to try and convince that unique brand to come to Adelaide. Well, if they want me to pick up the phone and use the influence of the Lord Mayor's job to get them here, well, I'm more than happy to do it.
I was asked about the Victoria Park Racecourse.
Yes.
Now the walls have come down, the racetrack is gone, that magnificent old grandstand has really been exposed for the derelict nature which is now in. What do you see as the future of Victoria Park Racecourse?
Well, it's terrific. The master plan's been approved and council's already working on it, and I want to see that it continue. That beautiful old heritage grandstand, it may not look like a lot's been done, but we've spent over $3 million on it already over the last couple of years. We've had to earthquake-proof it, get rid of the termites, put a new roof on, put fire sprinkler system installed, and we're also currently putting in new change rooms, new showers and other facilities. And if you go past it at the moment, we're installing the new, what we call premium field, which will be located immediately in front of that grandstand. So a number of sports, whether it be soccer, hockey, baseball, will be able to hold their major tournaments there if they want. Right in front of the grandstand, which will accommodate about 1,000 people.
Now, that building is to some extent like many others around the parklands, and you mentioned the University Oval grandstand, boat sheds, the Prince Alfred former boat shed. There's this tussle between council policies that say that they're in charge of the parklands and those capital works and so forth, and the fact that those buildings have run down. I mean, where do you sit about the preservation of those buildings that are on the parklands being in sort of pristine condition?
Well, those that are heritage listed will be looked after, and also, of course, it depends on the terms of the lease. Many of the leases, including the university boat shed and the university grandstand, it is the university's responsibility to upgrade them. The lease says you are responsible for it, and because we only charge a peppercorn rent. Now, and they are doing it, they are upgrading them. Same with the Prince Alfred rowing boat shed. That's their responsibility. It's under their lease because they get charged a very nominal rent. So they're responsible for the upkeep. Now, in terms of a number of other of the sporting facilities, buildings and so forth around the parklands, it depends on whether there is a licence or a lease. In fact, our administration is at the moment collating all of that information. And to be frank, there are some real issues arising out of here because there are many leases where, in fact, the leaseholder is responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of their buildings, but in fact they don't have the money to do it. And so that's going to mean some very hard decisions for the new council being elected on the 12th of November.
We mentioned Adelaide Oval previously. What's your position about the development in the sense of, is this a good idea, or what are the caveats that you have about it going forward?
Look, I think it's a great idea to have football here, and I think Adelaide Oval's the perfect place with respect to public transport, because we can get the trains, the buses and the trams all head into the city. If they can get about 20% of people on buses to go to Amy Stadium, their objective to get 50% of patrons to use public transport, I think is a good one. There's lots of parking in council car parks and on-street car parking in and around the CBD where it's not a long walk. the issue of car parking on the parklands, I think we can come to an acceptable range of compromises on that. They want an undercover car park, and that's good, an underground car park I should say. And of course they want to put a car park for about 900 just west of the Morford Street Bridge, which is largely disused railway yards. And so that would be very good as well, relieving pressure. So we're probably only talking about maybe 25-30 days of the year that they may want, where they may need to use the North Parklands as car parking. Now I know that there are some who would say we shouldn't have any car parking on the parklands. I think we've got to try and do all we can to make more and more people use public transport, and you can do that via pricing mechanisms on parking on parklands and things of this nature to encourage more people to use public transport. But in the short term you might have to make some compromise around the 30 days a year type principle. In terms of the Stadium Management Authority wanting to take the control of the parklands around the Adelaide Oval into their precinct, I say absolutely no. Not on my watch, for a very simple reason. The parklands belong to all South Australians, not a private entity. Now I know it's SACA, and I know it's the SANFL that make up the SMA, the Stadium Management Authority, that they are multi-million-dollar businesses. They're not your little local footy club or local community cricket club. They are multi-million-dollar organisations who pay the players, football and cricket, in terms of the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Someone's got to look after the public interest with respect to those parklands. Who's got access to them and under what conditions? And that public interest is best served by being retained by the Adelaide City Council as part of the Adelaide Parklands. We must never cede control, care or custody of parklands to a private commercial entity.
Ralph Clarke, many thanks.
Thank you.